still go to that same store. If you did this to the Jews or the Arabs, they would boycott and nobody would go to that store anymore and go out of business. If you talk about the Jews or the LGBT community on TV, they'll boycott you. You might lose your job. But when somebody calls a black person a nigger and they talk about you a monkey, we just accept it. We just accept it. Dave Chappelle talks about it all the time. But anyway, this guy right here is from Africa. He talks about what's going on in Africa, which is going on actually in America too, in our inner city.
Just want to highlight something that transpired today in a conversation with one of the assistant managers to one of the Chinese wholesale camp. Excuse me. Talking to one gentleman, he quit his job today. A very popular Chinese food store here in Nassau. He said to me, he said he was sick and tired of the way the Chinese behaves and the way they talk to them. He said today, he had a conversation with one of the young Chinese managers. The Chinese manager said to the black people are the stupidest set of people that's ever walked the face of the earth. The Chinese said to him that there's no other race in the world more stupid than black people, and that's why black people is to the bottom of every economic ladder in the world, and they will never rise up. He told me, he said, you know, this is a black country. And in this black country, a Chinese or any other ethnicity, any other race of people, whether it's Indian, Chinese, Arabs, and even I don't want to go way to make a mistake, say that they can come into a black country and they can set up a business next to a black person in a black country, and with the help of the black people, they will put the black man out of business in a matter of weeks. Let me say that again. He said that a Chinese or any other ethnicity can come into a black community or a black country, set up a business next to a black person in a black country, and in a matter of weeks, with the help of black people, they can shut black people out of business. Now, when he highlighted the fact that black people are stupid, I was involved. But when he explained it to me, I must agree. For another ethnicity to come to our land and tell us that we are the stupidest set of people that has ever walked the face of the earth, we will argue, get angry, but it's a fact. What he said is a fact. Any other ethnicity can set up a business in our country next to black people and will get the support of none of its own people. There are people that go to another race, and he said this was saying, and black people are the only people that's ever done that. And that's true. It sounds cruel, but it's true. Because you can set up a store no matter what your prices are. Once the Chinese are selling next to you, the Chinese will shop with the Chinese. If you set up a business and the same applies to the Indians will first shop with Indians. Europeans will shop with Europeans. Black people are the only race of people who will spend their money with another race of people who won't like them or who won't care about them. So I must agree with the young Chinese man.
So why is it that what he said is right, and we know it's right, but we still continue every day to shop with the Chinese, the Asians, the Arabs, the East Indian, the Jews? Why is that? Yeah. And if you look at the screen, the Chinese the Africans are holding up Chinese flags. And remember, Rockefeller said that I care not who makes the laws if I control the money. So if you look at colonization with the British and the French and the German and the Belgian, now you're seeing another colonization in Africa with China and Russia and India. They're giving out checks, giving a lot of money, and Africa is going into debt with them. At the same time, they have a goal to take over Africa. They don't understand that economic and resources, laws, religion, these are the things that are controlling Africa. Religion, economics, and laws. If you control the money, then the governments will also help you to pass laws that favor your people. Same thing with religion, Christianity, Judaism, Islam. A lot of people in Africa follow Islam and Roman Catholicism. And then you have now the Jews are in Ghana. They're in different places in Africa trying to teach the people that are saying the word Israelites Talmudic Judaism. They're trying to learn about the Ashanti culture, the Akan culture, and also stay close and have embassies in different places in Africa. Why are they doing that? It's for a reason. So we need to understand who we are and who they are. So if you look at this picture right here, this is a picture of the Arabs. Not the Ottoman Turks, but the Arabs. Now back in the day, the Arabs, they didn't wear the get-up that the people in Saudi Arabia wear, or the Ottoman Turk hats. These Arabs were diluted down, but they nevertheless still had melanin in their skin, and they really rode around on camels and horses bareback. Nothing on their chest other than this thing across their chest right here. And here's a picture of the ancient Arabs fighting against the Assyrian troops. And as you see here, they're riding on camels. They don't have nothing on their chest, maybe something around their waist, and they have their hair back, and they're fighting with bows and arrows. The Arabs today don't dress like that. I should let you know that they're not the original Arabs. Now, if you look at Mecca, the UV index of Mecca is always around 9, 10, and 11. 11 is about the highest you can get. So it's very hot. It gets to be 120 degrees in Mecca and Saudi Arabia. So we know that white nations could not survive in Arabia without being covered from head to toe. So when you look at the old pictures of the Arabs, the weather was still the same, 100 degrees, 110 degrees, 120 degrees. They were able to survive in that weather with nothing on their chest, on their back. So you know they had to have melanin. So when you look at a lot of people that talk about the Arabs in different books in the 1800s, they say that the inhabitants of this part of Arabia nearly all belong to the race of Himyar, which is in Yemen, South Arabia. Their complexion is almost as black as the Abyssinians. So they're saying that Arabs were almost as black as the people in Ethiopia or Sudan. They say that for the Arabs, among these Negroid features, which may be counted normal in Arabs, are the full, rather everted lips, shortness and width of the nose, certain blanks in the bearded areas of the face, between the lower lip and chin, and on the cheeks, large, lustrous gazelle eyes, and a dark brown complexion, and a tendency for the hair to grow in ringlets. Often the features of the more Negroid Arabs are derivatives of the Dravidian Indian rather than inheritance of Hamitic Africa. So what they're saying right here is that even though they have Negroid features and dark brown skin, that their features are similar to the Dravidian Indian, the Indian that lives in the south, the dark-skinned Indians, because you have the Aryans, you have Dravidians in the south, like Tamil Nadu and Kerala and Sri Lanka. So they're telling you now what some of the sons of Shem through Ishmael kind of look like, rather than inheritance of Hamitic Africa. So the true Arabs initially wasn't looking like people all the time in Africa, in the land of Ham. So although the Arabs of today are sharply differentiated from the Negro of Africa, yet there must have been a time when both were represented by a single ancestral stock, Abraham. In no other way can the prevalence of certain Negroid features be accounted for in the natives of Arabia. So we know that the ancient Arabs were black, they had some Negroid features, and these also kind of look like the people in India in the south. So this is South Yemen, Socotra, an island off the coast of Yemen. They have melanin. Some of them look like they're from India. But then some of them also look like they're black. So this is the Arabs we see today. This is the Arabs that you might see in Qatar or Oman or Dubai. These are the Arabs that had started the initial slave trade. This is Zanzibar, which is in Tanzania on East Africa. African slaves in Zanzibar, Hebrew Israelites. So this is another picture of an ancient Arab in the early 1900s. In the book of Jubilee says, and he gave to Ishmael, to his sons, and to the sons of Keturah gifts, and he sent away from Isaac his son, and he gave everything to Isaac his son, and Ishmael and his sons, and the sons of Keturah and their sons went together and dwelt from Paran, which is in the Sinai Peninsula, to the entering in of Babylon, Iraq, in all the land which is towards the east, facing the desert. And these mingled with each other, and their name was called Arabs and Ishmaelites. You see Arabs today in Saudi Arabia that are black, Negroid looking, but they don't show these pictures, like Michael Israel talked about in the second movie. Land of Ham. A lot of Jewish people will say, you guys are Cush, 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 Cush. If you watch the YouTube channel, Karaite Jews for Judaism is calling me out saying that you guys are Cush. You know, just stop saying that you guys are Israelites. So let's see who are the real Cushites, because we're not the Cushites, we're the Israelites. So a lot of books also talk about the Negro is not related to the son of Ham. The Negro, not the son of Ham. Cush was one of the sons of Ham. So you got other people saying the same thing, but the Jews believe that we are Cushites from the son of Ham. What does man say? Man says they are the children of Israel. The Jews say we're the Cushites. You have the Jews talk about the Gentiles. This is in America, Jewish Historical Society of Greater Washington. Beach Club, Gentiles only, no dogs. I'm asking the Gentiles. All right, so what does man say? Our pastor says, I'm a Gentile. Wait a minute, what's a Gentile? Now the reason why blacks and Hispanics or Negroes, Latinos, Hispanics are called Gentiles because we don't understand our true identity. These are just bywords. Also, you see signs, privileges of the swimming pool are extended only to approved Gentiles. All right? So in the Bible, it's important that we understand the table of nations. We have the sons of Japhet, who by these were the isles of the Gentiles, and you also have the sons of Ham, Cush, Mizraim, Put, and Canaan. So we're going to cover this. The Bible also says in Luke 21:24, it says, and they, meaning the Israelites, shall fall by the edge of the sword and shall be led away captive into all nations. And Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled. All right, so that's telling you in Scripture that Jerusalem is going to be taken over by the Gentile, non-Israelite nations. And we know that the Israelites were led away captive into all nations. All right, so we go further, because we don't have a lot of time, but here we see the land of Ham, we see Shem, we see an overlap of the land of Ham and Arabia. And we'll see here, this is the kingdom of Saba, or the Sabaeans, of the lineage of Cush, and also some parts of Arabia, because they mixed. And you'll see that these pictures depict them to have hair kind of like this guy right here. Not straight hair flowing down the neck like the Arabs or Caucasians, but hair like a Negroid feature type of hair. And they still live in Arabia, and they have woolly hair like black people. So they have more Negroid features, and some of them look kind of like they also could be from India as well, in the south. So in Yemen, the old Yemen was called Arabia Felix. And you see the Sabaeans, the kingdom of Saba, the kingdom of Sheba, Cush, is in our Bible. In the Hebrew, it's Shaba or Sabaean or sometimes Sheba, depending on which Hebrew Strong's concordance you look at. So these guys are descendants of Cush and also Shem, to Ishmael, or somebody say Jotan, one of the sons of Shem. If you look at the Yemeni Arabs, they've been diluted down with the Ottoman Turks. So they have a little bit of melanin in their skin, and their hair is a little bit different than typical white-skinned Arabs. And here you see Ethiopian Jew, who has half the DNA of Cush and half the DNA of the Israelites, because we know about Queen Sheba and King Solomon. So it makes sense to see that the Ethiopian Falasha Jews have half their DNA being from Cush and half their DNA from being from the Israelites. Cush meaning Sudan and parts of Ethiopia. And so this is just something to pay attention to with the sons of Shem. Now, Cush begot Nimrod. Nimrod, the beginnings of his kingdom, was in Babel, which is Babylon, Iraq, Erech, Akkad County, in the land of Shinar, which could be Iraq and Iran. Now, if you look at Ethiopia, so now we know that Nimrod was the son of Cush. Cush is synonymous with Sudan and Ethiopia. The Greek term for Ethiopia, when we get the word Ethiopia, means burnt faces. So thus Ethiopia in the Greek, in English also would mean land of burnt-faced people. This is a guy from Ethiopia, from the Hammer tribe. Part of his DNA is from Cush, Y-DNA-A. And he also has E1B1B, which I'll talk about later in regard to some of the Edomite influence in Egypt and Sudan, with Hadad the Edomite. And so the ancient depictions of Christ by the Ethiopians were black. This is the Ethiopic version of Christ, or Mary and the Son. And then we see Christ on the cross, John the Baptist and Christ. This is the Roman depiction. So true Cushite, or what they call today Nilotic blood, are in South Sudan, parts of Ethiopia, Kenya, Tanzania, Mozambique, and South Africa. Now remember, everybody living in Kenya are not Israelites. Everybody living in Ethiopia are not Israelites. Everybody living in Sudan are not Israelites, but you have a mixture of the sons of Ham and the sons of Shem, or the Israelites, even in South Africa. So today, the Cush kingdom is created by a mixture of tribal chiefs from Nilotes, or Nilo-Saharan. They speak the Nilo-Saharan language. Bantu's people or Negroes speak the Niger-Congo language. And over in East Africa, you'll see the Asiatic language, the Afro-Asiatic language, and you also see the Cushitic language. So for the Nilots or Kush or the Nubians, you'll see the Nuba tribe, the Luwak tribe, which is Barack Obama's father, the Maasai tribe, the Nuer, the Shilluk, the Dinka, the Arawak, and others, such as the Okoli, Olor, and Kakwa. Kakwa was of the lineage of Idi Amin's father. Anybody know what Idi Amin is? Uganda. A lot of people from Uganda, if you ask Baganda, you say, hey, was Idi Amin, was he a Baganda? They say, no, he was a Nubian. He was from the Nile, going up to Sudan. So they know that Idi Amin's ancestry comes from Nubia or Kush. He wasn't an Israelite. And actually, in the later parts, he was for the British against the Mai Mai rebellion with the Kikuyu people in Kenya. So right now you have a battle between the government between the Luo people and the Kikuyu people in Kenya. The Kikuyu people are the Israelites. The Luo people's ancestry goes back to ancient Egypt and Sudan. I had a guy actually email me and tell me this personally that he is of the Nuba and Luo tribes, half Nuba, half Luo. He said that our ancestry goes back to the ancient royal kings of Egypt and Sudan. So they know this. So Kush is in Sudan and parts of South Egypt and it's some parts of Ethiopia. So we're not Kushites because our DNA is different. This is Nubian Kushite king